Our story today is about Apix, Florida. You spell it A-P-I-X, a rather odd name. It's a ghost town now, but Apix, Florida had big plans in the late 1950s. Trains still run through it, and one of the last clues that Apix ever existed is an old railroad signal box next to the tracks marked with the single word, Apix. Occasionally, you'll find Apix on a Florida road map, or you can look it up on Google Maps. It's there. In its heyday, over 9,000 acres were purchased, a subdivision platted, and the government was updating population figures to the public. If you drove through Apix, Florida in 1958, you most certainly would have passed one of the few businesses in town, a rather small fertilizer plant. The only problem with what I've shared so far, very little of what I've told you is true. The true story of Apix, Florida is one of the strangest of the Cold War era. The plain fact is, Apix, Florida never existed. In the late 1950s, the United States government created the little fictitious town. Apix was an acronym for Air Products Incorporated Experimental. The site picked was in a remote, swampy area of Palm Beach County where alligators were a common sight. The state of Florida helped Pratt & Whitney obtain the 9,000 acres around the facility to hide from land speculators and the Russians their true purpose. They even platted land near the site for houses, gave the town a fake population, and placed the town on Florida road maps, all to hide the fact that hydrogen rocket engine tests were being conducted. Despite all the secrecy, the project was found out. A retired U.S. Army colonel living in the area thought they might be working on a hydrogen bomb. A delegation of security officials from Washington had to pay him a visit to convince him to be quiet. And then there were the problems of transporting hydrogen fuel. The original single-axle tanker trailers had to be changed to double-axle tankers because they kept raising the suspicions of highway weighing officials. In one instance, a suspicious and frustrated weighing official found the semi-trailer 45 kilograms too heavy. He ordered the driver to unload the excess. Imagine the driver's predicament. With the glaring official looking on, the driver contacted the Air Force, who had to go all the way to the governor of the state, Leroy Collins, to secure a release for the load. It's an interesting history. Yet today, we find Apix, Florida listed as a ghost town, despite the fact that there never was a downtown area, no post office, no real population, and no town government. Apix, Florida, a ghost town that never existed.